Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me. One more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
Being 5:30, I'll call to order this meeting of Fitchburg Board of Public Works for March 3rd, 2025, held in the Francis Huntley Cooper Council chambers. Tonight, we have our entire quorum of the board. Alder Jetzer to my left, myself, Dave Wilborn, Don Gutowski, and Kim Lobdell via Zoom. Public appearances for non-agenda items, I do not see any. So our next agenda item is 3A, approval of March 17th Board of Public Works minutes. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Moved by Don. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Jetzer. Discussion, corrections, additions, changes. Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor of approval of the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The minutes are approved. Next, we have the report of the Director of Public Works, Mr. Tim Volker, P.E.
Thank you. Just a couple follow-up items from the February 17th, 2025 meeting. I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention that the agenda item that we approved at the last meeting, which was the budget transfers for the utilities, there was a memo, and it was for Resolution R-43-25. And this memo, we received some invoicing at the last minute, so we received it after the Board of Public Works meeting. However, the invoicing was received prior to the Finance Committee and the Common Council meeting. So we had revised the memo, and it's up on the screen right now. And what we did was add our resurfacing costs for maintaining our collection system. The invoicing came in, and we were $9,300 over. However, we were under in the lift station repairs by others. Our lift station's relatively brand new, so we were able to come in under budget and had available funding to transfer from that account to the maintenance of collection system to cover those additional resurfacing costs. So I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. If you guys are all right with it, we can leave it as is since it was approved by the Finance Committee and Common Council, or we can bring back the resolution back to Board of Public Works to vote on, and then back to Finance and Council.
So at Council, it was approved as amended by city staff. And
During the Finance
Committee, and then we discussed it at Council and approved it. So unless the board is opposed, I'm fine with it. I think Tim gave a good explanation of what it was for. I don't anticipate anyone would have be opposed to it. Okay. All right.
I'm good with it.
Okay. So let sleeping dogs lie. It's approved.
Sounds good. A couple other follow-up items from the last meeting. There was a question with our new water tower on how long it would take to fill it. It's a 600,000 gallon water tower, and it's going to take a couple days to fill it. It's dependent upon, as it's getting filled, it's also the usage is going on. So as water is entering the water tower, the pumps are also filling that, but also providing water to the people within the northeast zone. So it's all dependent on how much water is getting used by our customers. But we kind of anticipate a couple days for that to be filled. And then also another question was with the T-Mobile, did it have a separate electrical meter? That was in reference to the lease agreement that we were extending. And T-Mobile does have a separate electrical meter, so any usage electricity-wise they pay for. And then last question was with the increase in the city hall utilities. We had a budget amendment due to, I believe it was around $19,000 for an increase in city hall utilities. We went over budget. And part of that was due to the air handler emergency repair. So there's 3 air handlers at City Hall. The one for the police station runs 24/7 because police is a 24/7 operation. The other 2 air handlers are supposed to shut off at 11 p.m. and then turn back on at 5 p.m. However, the issue with the controls, we found that they were operating 24/7 also. So we kind of assume it was doing that the entire year, so that also contributed to the overage in utilities. So once those repairs happen, we should see a drop in the utilities. I spoke to our building supervisor this week, and the contractor is going to be starting the work on those repairs. We had to put off those repairs due to the cold weather. We didn't want to put the system down when we were having the cold weather. So this week they're going to start, and we anticipate either wrapping up this week or next week with those emergency repairs. And then a couple project updates for everyone. We had a pre-construction meeting for Phase 3 of Sain Road. That was last week, Thursday, February 27th. And then the contractors looking to commence construction on Monday, March 24th, 2025. And then for Phase 2, we have a pre-construction meeting tomorrow morning, and we're anticipating the contractor to start on Phase 2 to start in April. So approximately maybe 4 weeks later. We have 2 separate contractors, Rock Roads doing Phase 3, and then Parisi's doing Phase 2 for Sain Road. And then our 2025 street resurfacing project bids were opened on Friday, February 28th. The apparent low bidder is Tri-County Paving Incorporated. Last couple years, Payne and Dolan were the low bidder for our street resurfacing project. So Tri-County has done work with the city, and their bid came in approximately 10% under the engineer's estimate, and their bid was $1,687,653. So you should be seeing an agenda item here moving through, getting referred out next week, Tuesday at council. So in the next Board of Public Works meeting, we should have an agenda item for the award of that contract. With that, does anyone have any questions?
Open it up to the board for questions for Tim. Bill?
Did you dig up any explanation about our water tower labeling system?
I did. So with Water Tower A, the question Alder Jetzer was wondering was, how come we don't have a Water Tower A, and how come we're building Tower D after Tower E? So Tower A was a 100,000 gallon elevated tower located on Lovell Lane. It was built in 1968 and was removed and sold in 1994, kind of after the West Zone was created. So once Tower C was constructed, Tower A came down. So then Tower E got built before Tower D because the growth was out west and not out east where Terra Vista is now starting to grow. So we had to build Tower E first, and instead of all our files referenced Tower E, so to change the naming would have confused internally with our filing system. So that's why we kept E and why D is being built after.
Okay, so they were kind of laid out on a map at some early date.
Correct.
All right.
Thank you for that narrative.
You're welcome.
I
I thank Tracy, our historian.
figured she would know it. Public just cares that when they flush the toilet, it works, or they turn
Yes.
water on it. The details that go into our complex and reliable water system are sometimes not appreciated. I had two questions. Back to the the controls for the city hall, the fans. Are those set to staging so that they rotate? If one comes on first and the next one, is it set up so like every year then that a different one comes on first, second, third, so that you equalize the running of the units to run them all to full lifetime? Otherwise, if you don't, your first one wears out and the other two are second ones maybe used and the third one's brand new. And I'm just curious. I don't know much about it.
And I can check with Kevin. I
Could you-
think they're dedicated to areas, though.
Okay.
So like
So
the
then it
one
would-
air handler is dedicated to police.
Okay.
The other two cover the remaining of City Hall.
Okay.
And then those are the ones that get stop at 11 p.m. and then start up at
Okay.
5. So they get shut down 6 hours a day.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. Then the other question on the street resurfacing this year, how many miles is that? Or do you have approximately? I'm sorry I didn't ask you this earlier so you could prepare. But
And I can bring it up. Let me just look in our file.
I'm curious because we like to aim for, 4+
1/30th.
miles. So 1/30th of the road.
Yeah,
But on the
yeah.
other hand, lately it's been costing $500,000 per mile. So
know.
then maybe only 3 miles this year.
Yeah.
Let me see if the drawings have it.
While Tim is working on that, I'll just point out that if you go to the Fitchburg website and you search for GIS/maps, and you get to that main opendata.fitchburgwi.gov page, the first map on there, it doesn't really have a very specific name, but it's got a whole bunch of layers. And for the last month or so, one of the layers is the road ratings. So you can see the
Okay.
Pacer ratings on there.
Oh, okay.
Condition, the most up-to-date condition of all the roads in the city.
I'm going to ask you to show me that after we're done here.
And I think next Thursday is the Transportation and Transit Commission meeting. I think maybe if Tim is eavesdropping, he can give him a heads up. But I might ask Ross if it's possible for us to get layers on there that are, the set of roads that we resurface in a given year. So you can see, back in, 2021, we did this set, 22, 23, 24. So right now, the 2024 roads that we resurfaced are still showing on the map as being in the worst condition.
Okay.
Because they
quite
won't go
got it
out
updated
driving
yet.
around on all the streets until some point later this spring to rate them all again.
Okay. Thank you for that explanation, Bill.
And the drawings don't have the total, but I can have that number when the agenda item comes
Okay.
through next meeting for everyone.
That'd be fine, Tim. That'd be fine. Thank you. All right, any other questions for Tim?
Tim, I got a kudo, a comment, and a question.
Sure.
Kudo, I was at McKee Park. Bathrooms are still open, so give them kudos for having that open yet. A lot of people are in the park, and some were going in there, so that was nice. The comment, I went by the shelter area just to go see that squirrel fix, and it got fixed, but I think you got a pretty frisky rodent there because they just moved it a whole 3-inch diameter hole about 5-10 feet down from there. It's not on the eave, It's on the actual wall. It's a pretty big diameter hole.
Do they have a nest in there that they?
There's got to be
fighting to get
something in
back
there
in?
that they'd be that aggressive after going after it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when I spoke to our maintenance team, they mentioned they've been having issues with them coming back. So
Okay.
they looked up there last time when they made the repair. So I'll mention it to them that
Okay.
there's another hole.
I'll show you the pictures
Sure.
later. That it's pretty big size hole, and I thought, oh man. And then the question I have, being we were talking the resurfacing, and maybe you gave us an answer before, but I had asked about Cape Seal or micro surfacing. Did you happen to talk to any of the contractors to say, do they do that? It might extend our money a little bit and get us some more road miles.
I know right now with this is the resurfacing, so the pulverizing and the new asphalt going down. So right after this, we'll be having a bid go out for our street maintenance, and that's where we'll do our chip seal. And so I'll speak to the engineers working on that to see if they did look into the Cape Seal for that.
Thank you.
No question. I had one more. Have we had any water main breaks recently in the last month or so?
January we got hit pretty hard.
Yeah.
February I haven't seen. I haven't seen any.
Okay.
Doesn't mean they didn't happen, but I can bring an update on the breaks for February at our next meeting.
Okay. Sounds good, Tim. Thank you. Anything else?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, along the same line. So I was reading the draft sustainability plan for Fitchburg, and one of the things it calls for is a 6% reduction in water usage, and that's not per capita, that's an absolute reduction. So even as population grows, by 2030 the goal is to consume 6% less water. And I didn't read it all that carefully, but some of it is conservation measures and others. One stat that stood out to me was it said research shows that up to 12% of all the water in a municipal distribution system is lost to leaks. Do you have any idea
I don't think we're
where
that
we
high.
might stand?
Well, I'm just gonna throw. I'd be surprised if we were that high, but maybe Tim would tell me I'm full of hooey. It seems high for our system. A relatively new system.
One out of every 8 gallons.
Include what you're losing on flushing,
Yeah, that 12% seems high. I know in Florida we always shot the water management district that monitored us. We would have to be under 10%, which we came in under. I can check with Tracy to see with our pumpage reports, and then see if there's a comparison we could do to what we pump and bill.
Yeah.
To see if the city has a reporting for that. That's what we would always look at. The water exiting our water treatment plant, and then kind of what we were billing our customers, and kind of see that difference, because that difference would then be attributed to leaks most likely. So I can see if we have some type of reporting for that.
Okay.
good question, Bill. Just piggybacking on that. Probably takes a relatively, I don't want to say major, but a pretty good leak before the public would notice there was a problem, say with their water pressure at their home, or eventually erodes the street. Hopefully not, but I don't know if we really have any methodology to check. Well, we're televising our mains, aren't we? Do we televise our water mains, or is that just sewer?
No, we just flush.
Okay, so
Flush
we just
them.
flush. So we wouldn't. How you detect? Tim's methodology, pump versus build, I guess, is probably the best measure.
And the valve turning, we've been able to find that the leaks, that's typically when we're exercising our valves, that pressure and water head hammer that's happening when that exercising is going on is exposing those weak areas. And that's where we're, either seeing a break in the water main or a joint or the valve. So because of the valve exercising that we've done the last couple years, we've had more breaks than normal. I believe that was one line item that kind of went over budget last year because the city kind of caught up on the valve exercising and kind of exposed those weak areas on the distribution system.
Would you anticipate, though, that kind of a one-time that we hit those weeks?
Yes, once we kind of get through the system one time with the valve exercising, I would suspect that the water main breaks were to decrease.
Well, if Tracy has any figures on, pump versus build, we'd be interested in hearing them. I suspect, though, we're relatively low. Our water system is fairly new. All right. We'll move on. Thank you, Tim. Back to my agenda here. Next, we have the review of the utility P-card and check purchases. Does anyone have any questions on P-card or check purchases?
I got a couple.
Go ahead, Bill.
Some of the Cintas line items have a PO number and others don't. Is that expected?
Let's see. Which ones don't?
Page 1 of 5, I don't, let's see, you have an account
Right.
number. Yeah. 1 of
And
5.
then I think there were some, yeah, so then on 2 of 5, there's some that do have the purchase order, 3481 if that helps. And then I think, yeah, that was it.
Yeah, looks like on page 1, that may have been missed.
Yeah.
But yeah, typically because the purchase price, and that's a multi-year contract that we're utilizing, that it has a purchase order. So I just think whoever put the statements together just didn't also list the PO on the 4 on the front page. Okay. But yeah, that would be the same PO.
Okay.
Thank you. Other questions? Bill, did you have another
I
one?
had one more. The Ruckert and Milky checks, it looked like there was, how's that work? Do we pay Rupert R&M and then we collect Town of Verona's portion from the town?
What page is that, the Ruckert Melky?
It's on the check listing.
Yeah,
It's page 4 of 5.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, let me just open up that chat.
Yeah, 128,074.
I believe how the agreement's worded is we pay for it and then the town reimburses us. So we'll have sent this invoice to the town of Verona. This is for the Goose Lake design.
Dave, go ahead.
Well, number 12, is that $235,904.87? Is that finished up for well 12, or we got to pay more yet?
We still have more on that contract. So right now they're going through the testing of the well. And then once the testing's done and we've inspected it and everything's in conformance and we've watched the video of it, then we'll pay the final invoice for them.
Okay, thanks.
Tim, there's, looks like a couple people attended a wastewater conference, and then there's a sewer exam, 2 of them on there. Is there some sort of certification that we have to keep up, and how many people have to be certified for that?
Yes, there is a wastewater certification that our staff does have. So it is, don't believe it's a job requirement for everybody, but it is for our supervisor to have it. And then our team lead, I'm not quite sure, or our lead worker, it may also be a requirement for them to have, but the other maintenance staff it's not a requirement for.
Okay.
But we do encourage them to take it, and if they want to, we'll pay for it, and that would set them up to, if the lead worker or the supervisor ever left, they already have the certifications, and then that knowledge they're also using as they work out in our system.
Okay, interesting. Curious to see what a sewer exam would look like. Isn't it everything goes downhill, or?
Yeah.
It flows. What flows downhill?
Oh, you're forgetting about the lift station.
Yeah.
Riders.
Kim, any questions on the bills? Okay. Any other
Nope, I'm
ones?
good.
Thank you. All right, then we'll move on to our next agenda item. Next, we have Resolution R4425, approving 2025 park vehicle replacements. Do we have a motion to approve this?
I move approval.
Moved by Alder Jetser, second by Don. So we're retiring our 2002 Dodge Dakota and our 2011 GMC. The Dakota we're replacing with a Ford Lightning, and the other one, F-350, is a larger truck that we need that to plow snow. We can't get that in electric. So anything else you want to add to this, Tim?
Yeah, just the new truck will be a 2025 Ford Lightning at $45,933, and then the Ford F-350 will be $47,910, and those two trucks are replacing a 2002 Dodge Dakota, which is 23 years old, and then a 2011 GMC 3500.
Just for people watching, we'll send these to auction. Where does the money that we get for these vehicles, what account does that go into in the city, just for?
So that'll go back into the replacement fund for these vehicles. So when we do our CIP budget and establish the replacement fund, we list a trade-in value in there, and then that money just goes back into the fund.
Thank you. Board members, Bill?
Yeah, do you have a rough estimate? What are we expecting for the two trucks? Is this like $5,000, $20,000?
Yeah, I would say $5,000 to $10,000. The 2002 may be under that. It's in pretty rough shape. The frame's pretty rusted, being 23 years old, and then the 2011 will get more for that. However, it's starting to show its age with rust.
Don?
More, I guess, out of curiosity, because I remember some other budgets we approved that were for the Lightnings, so we must be more enamored with the Ford product, or the other products not as capable, or do we just randomly pick?
So the Fords, we don't randomly pick it. It depends on the job. So like the F-350 is going to be used for plowing, so that we need a larger truck there. The 2002 Dodge Dakota that the Lightning's going to be replaced, that's the Parks Director's vehicle. So, we don't need something as heavy duty as the 350. So when that's required in the Lightning, we've had luck with, we've already have had 2 for 2 years, and then we have 4 on order that should be here in mid-April. And then this will be a 7th Ford Lightning.
But
I think, doesn't some of it, Tim, depend on what goes out for the state bid and what the state contract is?
Correct. There's only certain vehicles on the state contract also. Kim, that's a very good point, where, Ford is on there. I don't believe there's another electric vehicle besides the Chevy Hummer, which wouldn't be cost effective for us. So the Lightning it's come down in price every year. As I mentioned, the price for it is $45,993. The 2023s we bought 2 years ago were $48,617. So, they've come down almost $3,000.
Bill?
And they come with a free charger also.
Yeah, I got a couple questions. Just, regarding the electric vehicles, they do come with a charger. And is this a proprietary charger, or if we did get a different brand in the future, could we use that same charger?
So it is Ford does give us the charger for purchasing it, but we can use different charging infrastructure. We did buy with one of the Mach-E's, the Ford Lightning charger hasn't been installed, so we bought something off Amazon that you can just plug into a 110, and we've been using it, and it's been sufficient for the building inspector to keep his vehicle charged while we're waiting for the Ford charger to be installed.
And that 110 circuit, how many amps is that?
That I don't know. I can.
Well, typically a 110 is 20 amps, and if you get a
15 or
special
20, yeah.
plug, you can get 30. If you get the special adapter and
interesting,
breaker.
so-
it must be, I'm assuming it's limiting to 20, so it's doing kind of a slow charge.
Yeah, just a more general question. We've got, like you said, we're going to have 7 of these vehicles that each come with a charger. How many outlets do we, how much infrastructure do we have that can deliver, F-150s, those are, 100 kilowatt hour batteries? Like, to charge one of those things off of a 110 is probably 3 solid days of charging.
Yeah, and so to answer your previous question, it's a 15 amp was the 110 that we purchased, and the intent of that wasn't to charge the vehicle on the 110 just to kind of cover us till we get the Ford charger installed. So with each of these Ford vehicles we're buying, where Ford has the promotion going where you get a free charger. So when we bought the 2023 Chargers, that promotion wasn't going on. We had to purchase the chargers. So right now we have 2 chargers down at the Public Works facility. We're looking to install charger, I believe, over at the library, and then one down here at City Hall. And then when those 4 come in, 3 of those chargers are going to stay on City Hall campus, and then the other charger is going to go down at Public Works. And then with this vehicle, we're looking to, since it's kind of kept outside, look to put the charging outside instead of the library garage or the garage here at City Hall.
Yeah, I guess what I'm asking is, do we need to install a bunch of 40 amp 220 outlets or something as we increase the EV ratio in our fleet?
Yes, we will have to do some electrical modifications with these 5 coming on. So that's something we need to determine. The electrical work that we're putting in for the 2, we have enough electrical. Some conduit I think needs to be run to the chargers, but as far as upgrades, I don't believe much is required. However, the next 4 is probably going to require more work. But we haven't looked into or gotten any pricing or quotes for that yet.
Last question from me. Is that F-350, is that gas or diesel?
That's diesel.
Okay.
So there's a chance, from what I'm hearing from you, that vehicles, we might have to do a service upgrade or something on, if we have to add another panel, get more circuits, we might, possible service entry upgrade. I hope not. I hope that's not what we're talking about, but keep us posted on when you have the plan figured out, Tim.
Will do.
All right.
Tim, I'm wondering with that, if we're going to keep loading up on electric vehicles and you got a cost of the infrastructure, it sounded like the half-ton that you needed wasn't for hauling anything or plowing. Why didn't we go after a Ford Maverick or a Ranger, which is half the price of one of those Lightnings?
I'd have to check the state contract. I don't believe, I don't know if the Ranger, they don't make an EV in.
Well, I understand, but
Right.
it sounds like we're running out of EV infrastructure even to charge these things. Why don't we
we're
just
not
get a
running out of-
fuel-efficient vehicle that is going to still save the environment, but we don't have to throw double the price for a vehicle plus infrastructure costs. Maybe we're better off just getting a more fuel-efficient vehicle, hybrid or more. But you don't know if the Ranger or Maverick are on the list.
Well, the direction from council was to go EV with new vehicles when we can. So we're following the direction council.
Gotcha.
Dave? Kim? Anything?
I'm good.
Call the vote. All in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next. Give me a sec. I got my computer goofed up here again, as usual.
That's our first and last agenda item.
Move the last one.
Thank you, Dave. I just about got there. So next, our next Board of Public Works meeting, do we have another one on here? That was one.
Says on the agenda, it's going to be on St. Patrick's Day.
Yep, thank you. So the next Board of Public Works is Monday, March 17th at 5:30. Wear your green. I would ask that you don't consume green beer in council chambers. But maybe I can't stop you, but 5:30, if you can't make this meeting, let us know so we can make sure we have a quorum. Okay? With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move we adjourn.
Moved by Dave. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Jetser. All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
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 We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.